Okay, so here's where we left off. Now, the whole thing, guys, we want to come up, our goal up here is to come up with an equation. This is what you're going to end up with right here. Okay, that's what we're trying to do. We're going to take this right here, this big equation, and we're going to distill it down so that it ends up looking like this. Okay, so that's what's going to happen now. Okay, so when you evaluate this, okay, you just work your way from the inside out. So this is the innermost function right here. So we're going to evaluate this first. All right, so we'll do that right over here. So the innermost function right here, I'm going to do first. So I want to rotate it negative 45 degrees. That's this right here. Okay, now, any questions on how I got this equation right here? Did we, yes, no? Yeah, because of the unit circle, right? Okay, so from yesterday, to rotate, what this does, that rotates it 45 degrees clockwise. That's what this does. This is a 45-degree clockwise rotation. 45 degrees clockwise. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So let's see. Let's go black. All right, so I want to come up with an equation that reflects over the line L, okay, the point Z. And the way that we're going to do, after we were done doing it, we found out that this was where we ended up was Z4. Okay, that was the, let's see, this got moved a little bit. Let's see what's going on. My paper got moved a little. This should be 5 plus, should be right there. But my paper got moved a little. Okay, so instead of writing Z4, okay, I'm going to write what Z4 is equal to, which is this right here. So I take out the letter Z4, and in its place, I'm sorry, right here, I'm going to write root 2 over 2 minus root 2 over 2I times Z. Let's see, wait a minute, let's make sure. Innermost function, okay. I'm going to take this whole equation right here. I'm going to copy everything except for the shaded blue part, and in its place, I'm going to write this equation. Okay, so this would be R, line L, C equals R 0, 45, parentheses, little r, real axis. Oh no. What's that? Yeah. Okay. Back online. Okay, so then this is going to be real axis parenthesis. Now, instead of that blue part, I'm going to put in root 2 over 2 minus root 2 over 2I times z. Then you got to make sure you got all the parentheses correct. Okay, so do you see the substitution that I did? Okay, so, all right. Okay, now my next step, I'd follow this first and then go get your water. Okay, your next step here is you're going to do this green part. Okay, so to take something and to flip it over the x-axis, we do the conjugate. That's what that means. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to write the conjugate of it. So I've got R, 0, or origin, 45 degrees. Okay, now to do this, I do the conjugate of each one of these. So the conjugate of, let's see, I'll do it in green so it's color coordinated. So the conjugate of that blue part is 2 over 2 plus root 2 over 2I okay, oops, times the conjugate of z, and that's what my next line looks like. So all I did there was, what's inside the parentheses? I did the conjugate of each one of those terms. Parenthesis, parenthesis. Okay, so I took this and I did the conjugate. All right. Yes. Okay, so any questions on what I did there so far? I did the conjugate of the blue parentheses, this part right here. I did the conjugate of that. That's why it became plus. And then I did the conjugate of z. Good. Okay. All right. Now, the last thing you're going to do is do this last. Rotate it 45 degrees. Okay. So to rotate something 45 degrees, to do this, you multiply by root 2 over 2 plus root 2 over 2I times, and then this function here, root 2 over 2 plus root 2 over 2I, and then I've got z, the conjugate of z. All right, so the way that all the substitution that we did was the following. Okay, right above this, we had R 0, 45, R real axis. Then we had R 0, negative 45, Z. So you can see the substitutions now. This substitution is what I did first. I took this out and I replaced it with the blue term. Then I took this whole thing out and I replaced it with its conjugate. Then I took this and replaced it with the complex number that would rotate it 45 degrees counterclockwise. So now to get your final answer, guys, you're just going to multiply this out. Okay. So to do that, root 2 over 2 times root 2 over 2, that's 2 over 4, or 1/2, plus root 2 over 2 times root 2 over 2i, that's going to be 2 over 4, or 1/2 I. Now these two, that's going to be 2 over 4i, and then root 2 over 2i times root 2 over 2i is going to be 2 over 4i squared times the conjugate of z. Okay, so what's going to happen here is these guys are going to cancel out. This is going to become negative 2 over 4, so that's gone. And now I'm going to add those two up, and I get 4 over 4i times the conjugate of z. So that's just I times the conjugate of z. So this is how you reflect something. What this does right here, this reflects the complex number z, reflects z over the line y equals x. Okay, so what I did was, to answer the question, I took that, I brought it up here, and what I did was I now substituted in the conjugate of z. Okay, so this was my equation. Okay, so that's I. Let's see, here's z. So the conjugate of z is 1 minus 5i. So that's I minus 5i squared. So that becomes positive 5 plus I. And you notice that when we plotted this, that's where the point was. Now, this is a little off because my paper moved on my screen. Okay, but yours is right at 5 plus 1i. Okay, we're going to try it for 60 degrees. Okay, so let's go on down to, we'll skip this part for now, right to here. So, and I can just walk you right through it. Here's what you're going to do. Find a formula that reflects it over the line P that makes a 60-degree angle. All right, so if I was sketching this, okay, and I drew a 60-degree angle, a line that was about 60 degrees, so maybe something like that. Girls, this angle is 60 degrees. So this is the line P. And what I want to do is take a point and I want to flip it over that line. So I want to know how to do that. So I'm going to call this Z prime. So when you're done, you're going to have an equation that you're going to put right there. All right, here we go. So in this case, if you look at your instructions, first rotate by negative theta. So theta is 60. All right, so here we go. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go rotate negative 60 degrees. Okay, this is this step right here. Okay, rotation by negative 60 degrees. Okay, so that looks like this. Rotate negative 60 about the origin. Okay, that's what that does. Okay, so let's do that. To rotate negative 60, I go back to my unit circle. Here's negative 60 degrees. So I'm using these coordinates to write my complex number. 1/2 and negative √3/2. So this is going to become 1/2 minus √3/2 times Z. Z is the original complex number. It's not the origin. Okay, any questions on how I got this? Don't be shy, guys. Your homework is not today, but tomorrow is to be able to do this on your own. Okay, so that was the first step. Okay, now let's do the second step. Okay, so when you wanted to reflect something, our second step, okay, the way that you reflect is you do the conjugate. So now I want to do a second. I want to reflect across the real axis. Remember, the real is the same as the x-axis. Okay, so to do that, you do the conjugate of each one of these things. So it's going to go 1/2 plus √3/2I times the conjugate of Z. Whoops, I left off an I right here. That should have an I on it. So I did the conjugate. When you look at what happened between here and here, what I did was I did the conjugates. So that's why it changed to plus, and that's why I put the bar on top of the Z. Okay, third step. Okay, we're going to rotate. Rotation by 60 degrees. So remember that 60 means counterclockwise. Negative 60 up here, that's clockwise. Okay, all right. So to rotate something 60 degrees clockwise, I'm going to take where I'm at. So I've got this plus times. And now in front of it, I'm going to put what makes that thing rotate 60 degrees. So I go up to my unit circle, positive 60 degrees is right here. So I'm going to use those two numbers. All right. So here we go. This would be 1/2 plus root 3 over 2i. Now multiply it all out. Okay, so 1/2 times 1/2, 1/4. 1/2 times root 3 over 2 is root 3 over 4i. Now this half plus, whoops, I did that wrong. My bad. Okay, no, that was right. Root 3, and now when I multiply these two out, I'm going to get root 3 times root 3, that's 3. 2 times 2, 4, I squared. Okay? Now we're going to combine like terms. So remember, this right here is now going to really be negative 3/4. So I got 1/4 minus 3/4, negative 2/4. Okay, now watch up here. How do you combine these? This is something that always confuses kids. Okay, so to add these two things up, you just add them like terms. So this is going to be plus 2 root 3 over 4i. That's how you combine those radicals. Right? And then I got z. So our final answer now is negative 1/2 plus root 3 over 2i times the conjugate of z. Make sure you don't, that there's a conjugate sign there. Okay, I'm going to copy that up here. Right.